This is The Happiness Blueprint, the podcast where we uncover how people build happier lives.
Hi friends, this is Peter. Welcome back to the Blueprint, a Happiness Blueprint podcast. Wow, starting off strong here. Come back from a lunch break and mentally and physically all in one. I'm here with Jason from the Rockstar Project. Nice to meet you, Jason.
Good to be here.
I'd like to first understand, what is the Rockstar Project? How are you helping make people happy?
The Rockstar Project is the umbrella name for all the different programs that I started doing at colleges. And a lot of the work I do is helping people connect to each other and feeling confident about who they are, how they're showing up for others, how they're showing up for their friends and their families. And the language that I use, the Rockstar language, is that it's your instrument and how your instrument shows up for the band, and then how your band can have an impact on the audience. And so I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of folks who don't feel that they make a difference. And when we can put it into a context that every little thing that you do that's positive and making a difference, you're a rock star.
I believe that. Yes, yeah. I like that a lot. I come from a sports background. I think there's a similar thing here. Even the guys on the bench, it's like, by being on the bench, by going hard in practice, you're making everyone better. So even if you don't get to see the field, you are still actively involved in it. And it's not like the Rockstar mentality here is a similar thing of like, it can be hard to see the ripple we have out on the people around us, right? I think we all do make a difference, but it's hard to see and hard to appreciate. And it sounds like you've taken on yourself to help people appreciate the positive impact they can make on their communities.
Definitely.
Is that a good way to paraphrase it?
Absolutely.
Where does the Rockstar come from? I assume you're a musician then. I assume this comes from your own Rockstar pursuits. Help me understand the foundation.
So I'm a drummer and a guitar player and a singer, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was touring as a musician full-time, and then had opportunities to speak to groups. I was invited years ago to speak to student government in Connecticut, and I didn't know how I was going to frame what I was going to tell them. And the advisor who worked at the school told me how I was going to do it. And she said, you are going to have a keynote, and it's going to be called Get Your Show on the Road, and you're going to talk about launching your rock starness. And I was like, you're right, I am. And so I can't take credit for it, but I've definitely grown the content and the ideas. But I was known in the college world in all those years as a member of a very popular indie band at the time. And then as a solo singer-songwriter, I toured. And there was a year in which I did 100 colleges in a semester. In one semester, yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And so I had developed really strong relationships with schools. And it carried over once they heard that I was doing workshops. So for years I was booked as a musician, and then the workshops would be like, oh, I'll come early and we'll do this other thing. And now my career is morphed into like, we're bringing you in to speak, and maybe we'll get you to play later. But like, I think my impact, and I think where I'm actually serving the communities the best is actually in sharing ideas and facilitating networking and facilitating confidence building and helping groups work better together.
The touring aspect of this is familiar to me as well. And I think it's such a beautiful way to see the world. I don't think I appreciated how big the world was until I was in each city and each grassroots, and you meet the venue staff and you realize all the different niches, and it feels like a superpower, a superhuman way, a supreme way to meet people and appreciate culture and community. Was that kind of a informative foundation for you? It sounds like it was a really impactful way.
I think so. I also lived in Mexico City. I lived in Brussels, Belgium. I lived in Milan, Italy.
Wow, okay.
And so I've lived around the world. But even if you think about the convention center that we're in right now, I see all the roles, even like the security guard over there. Like, that's an important job. Like the person at the door checking the name badge is like, they if they show up late, it impacts the team. And so like, that's the personal empowerment. It's like, no, you do matter, because if you don't do your job, like, it's actually going to make the band not function as well. And again, in every job, there's this. I've been able to apply it to every industry. If you are playing, or your job wasn't created for you.
Yeah,
it was created in the service of something bigger. Something. If you work at Chick-fil-A, you're actually on a team that serves the audience. If you're in an ad agency, you're on a team that serves an audience, right? And you have to pitch to the audiences to serve them. But even here, like, I'm, all these student activities groups at this specific conference, they're a band that's putting cool stuff together for their community.
I'm curious about the transition here from musician to being on stage and kind of leading the charge here, but I think both of them serve to make people happy. And I think music, even if it's a sad song, it's still like, it is hoping to give comfort to your community, which is happiness in some like longer stretch. And I think being on stage and speaking is another way to like give happiness to the community. What was that transition like from being on stage and kind of doing it through art and through the drums, through the guitar, and the singing, to now doing it on stage and kind of doing it in a much more direct person-to-person way?
Yeah, I think as a musician, I didn't realize, and I think I learned this, that even your saddest song is actually connecting to somebody and making them feel less alone. Like
Yeah.
when you're sad and you listen to sad music, it doesn't necessarily make you more sad. You can cry with the music, but you feel less alone.
Yeah.
Actually. So there's a great camaraderie there with the artist who wrote those words. In speaking, I'm able to get more feedback. Like I toured for so many years and played my songs and told stories about my songs, and then I would leave and I wouldn't know what kind of impact I had or if there was any at all. So it was really like almost, I felt like I was bouncing on the tops of heads across the country. And now I feel like I'm sitting across from people and getting their ideas back, because I really like to facilitate conversation. And your audience is really they have a lot of stories. They have a lot of experiences, and they don't know that they have a story oftentimes. And to get them to tell their story, it actually makes a great impact.
How has it benefited you to help people facilitate these stories? Well, I think so much of what we do is about making people happy. That's a beautiful thing, but ultimately also makes us happy oftentimes. I'm curious about how
Definitely, I
these two
think
things intertwine for you.
well, it fills my bucket incredibly. But I also in high school, I wanted to be a teacher. I got a degree in secondary education when I was in college. I was always a camp counselor as a teenager, even in college. I just happened to be a drummer in a rock band that got popular. And the whole time I was doing that, I was like, so my life is now different. I primarily work with companies and associations and colleges and schools only during the academic year, because now I'm back at summer camp. I'm going into my 35th summer at the same summer camp this coming summer. And I always knew I wanted to be a camp counselor and I wanted to be a teacher. So and I love music and I love writing songs. I love playing with bands. So I actually feel like at this point in my life, I'm actually doing exactly what I set out to do. It just took me a long time to get here.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Summer camp is my background as well. And I think at some point in my life, I'd love to get back to that world. And it gives me hope to hear you say that you're still thriving and killing it.
I made a decision. I think it was my 30th birthday. I was like, I'm going to give myself the gift of going back to camp. And so that summer I went back to camp, and I just haven't missed a summer since.
That's unbelievable.
Because for a decade I was on tour, and I was like, I really miss camp. I want to go back and just be in one bed for 2 months in the wilderness. Like, it's really legitimately not fancy.
Yep.
Rustic, no electricity in the cabins, just cool people navigating coexistence and cohabitation.
It sounds like you have the full spectrum here, where I assume camp is children and adolescents, kids and teenagers mostly. You mentioned the college demographic and then also doing executive kind of corporate stuff. So it seems like you work with the full spectrum of ages at least. What's like some of the universal challenges that we're seeing? How are you helping benefit them, make them happier? What is something that is universal to the people from 5 to 65 that you're seeing here?
Even at 55 or 70, and the same with an 18-year-old and a 25-year-old, is there this thought that that somebody doesn't want to meet you, or that it's inappropriate to walk up and say hi to somebody, or to be the one who starts the conversation, when in fact everybody wants to make a connection. And most people, even adults, and I would say the majority of association events that I work, the adults in the room who are grown-up people with children of their own are hesitant to start a conversation with someone they don't have permission. But humans actually, we have an innate permission. I've never said it that way before, but we sit on airplanes next to somebody, we don't talk, right? So, and I get it. Sometimes you really need that time to just be in your own headphones, which airplanes were around long before headphones, and people talked on airplanes. But the truth is that, and this is what I talk about with every group, because in every association event, is that one of the big work I do is helping people connect with each other. And once they do that, it's this epiphany. They're like, wow, that wasn't so hard. And oh my gosh, I did meet somebody, and I found we have common interests, and we might not both be drummers, but we both like circus shows, but whatever it may be.
The circles overlap somewhere. You
right,
put the work to find that overlap.
So that in itself makes me happy. And I think one of the other things that the great thing that I've come to understand as an adult who has been teaching for so many years as a camp counselor and working with little kids and teenage counselors. And is that it's okay also to just not be happy. It's okay to be like, oh, I'm having a tough day. But the ability to name your emotion, to the emotional intelligence to say, like, I am feeling fear, I am feeling anxiety, I am feeling anger, right? Is that being able to express that and share that, and to know that it's okay. There's nothing wrong inherently in the way you feel. You're feeling your feelings because your body is reacting to the world and the things that are happening. When you can identify your emotions, whether they're anger or fear or anxiety, you're actually going to be, you're reducing the power of that thing over you. And you're not necessarily happy, but there's also nothing wrong with being sad, right? And being cool with being sad also, I believe, makes you content, makes you you're more at peace with the situation.
This episode of the Happiness Blueprint podcast is brought to you by VibeArcs. Goals, budgets, and KPIs can tell you what happened, but they don't tell you how people felt while doing the work. Happiness is the most important metric of all, and it needs a system. VibeArcs is that system for prioritizing your mental health and tracking emotional metrics for individuals, teams, and even projects. Users submit a weekly 2-minute check-in online or in the app for metrics like happiness, stress, and utilization. Then, VibeArcs processes that data into quantified metrics that help spot patterns, celebrate wins, and encourage support where needed. Personally, I loved using VibeArcs with my team at GBM6. It felt like such a great way to check in with myself and make sure I'm hitting both my professional and my personal goals. I especially love that it asks me for 3 things that I'm happy about every week. During busy season, I find that things can feel a little chaotic and stressful, so this has felt like a really great tool to reframe my focus and make sure I'm aware of how many great things are happening around me, even in the most stressful moments. VibeArcs is free forever for individuals, .edu teams, and .org teams. All other organizations can start with a 60-day free trial and then pay just $5 per user per month to build a healthier, happier, and more engaged workplace. Check out the link in our description to get started on your own journey towards a happier personal and professional life. Thank you to VibeArcs for sponsoring today's episode. All right, back to the show.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting. I think what I'm hearing you say is there's a power in ownership here. And I think we know that in terms of like our time. Like, it is nice to be able to charge of our time and not have someone telling us we have to be here and do this and do that. And there's nice power in ownership of our property and our things we own. Like, we like our space, our bed. Right? I think we're all traveling right now. We're all going, at some point in the next couple of days, I get to go back to my comfort space here. But power of ownership of our emotions, I think, is an abstraction of that. That is an interesting one that is harder to grasp. It's not tangible, it's not physical, and it's not talked about as much either.
Yeah, I mean, comparing it that way, like, for me to get upset that my back porch is rotting, I don't have control over that. Like, that's something that's happening, so I'm going to accept it. I can't control that I'm anxious about a situation, so I have to accept that like, whatever you call that thing, it is. Own it, identify it, and not let it ruin your day. Like, we're gonna have tough days. We will all have we'll have tough weeks and months.
Unfortunately, that is the human condition.
It is the human condition,
but you're right, it is a powerful thing to be able to take ownership of that. And I think being present in it is the other. I think for myself personally, I find myself suppressing those and being like, no, it'll go away. I'm just gonna stay busy and stay distracted and this thing will go. And it's like, that's not realistic. That's not how the universe works. Like, I need to acknowledge this thing, and that is how I can conquer this problem and push it under the rug.
Well, I'll give you an idea that if this helps anybody who's listening, is like, we'll take anxiety as an example. It's there, it's showing up, and we have a tendency to try to like block it out, close the door, put our bodies against the door, and anxiety's on the other side of the door. It's gonna find a way in. So on that day when it's showing up, why not just open the door and let it say, oh, you're here again. Have a seat on the couch. Grab whatever you want out of the fridge. You're going to be here anyway. I got shit to do. And so I'm going to go do my things. You're going to be here anyway. Right. But rather than trying to fight it and be angry, because you can spiral and then be upset with yourself that you're feeling the way you feel. And I just don't think it's fair to yourself to be upset with the way you feel.
What are some actionable steps people can take when that bad day is knocking at the door? So I think that's a beautiful analogy that it is knocking at the door. And if we keep the door closed, it'll come into the door cracked. And I think you're right that it is wise to open the door and acknowledge it head on. What are actionable steps people can take when that bad day is knocking and lurking?
Well, movement. Temperature changes, splashing water on your face, going for a walk, definitely getting out of the situation that you're in. Like if you're on the couch scrolling on your phone, is to get off the couch and stop scrolling on your phone. I mean, I know it sounds so simple, but it's very hard because the algorithms are very engaging. And also just, I do think that instead of trying to get out of it, do something with it with you, right? Instead of saying like, I can't do this until this goes away. I can't work on this until I feel better. Then do something, and the thing will naturally, like it'll the weight of it won't be as heavy if you move your body in a motion. And I do mean physically move your body, like go for a walk, and if you're in the city and it's terrible weather, go up and down the stairs a couple times. Change the thing you're looking at. And these are just simple body techniques. Take a shower.
Yep.
Drink an ice water. And it's very easy to turn towards the things that might numb us, right? And I'm not free from that behavior. I'm an adult who's over 21, and sometimes I find myself, I'm like, tomorrow I would prefer to make better choices. But also forgiving yourself. I mean, January was just January. We all have our on January 1st, I'm going to change completely, right? And again, even that's very hard, but it's progress, not perfection, and I love what I've learned along the way. So many people have said such great things, and I don't have a problem repeating and quoting other people. So much so that I have 2 teenage daughters, and years ago, my older daughter just looked at me, she's like, "Dad, no more quotes." But I'm like, wow, but other people said really good stuff.
Yep.
I'm
a big quotes guy as well.
Yeah.
I heard wisdom one time that was like, we don't need to be taught as much as we need to be reminded.
Sure.
And that was a really powerful one for me. Is like, instead of just throwing new things in the fire, it's like, just really take one thing and digest it and really find the 5 quotes that feel like North Stars and really just align with those instead of constantly searching for the next thing. Because there isn't a quick fix there. It's about internalizing the things and really taking control and ownership of this.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions here I'd love to wrap up with.
Yeah.
One of them is, you've been on a great journey through life. It sounds like you've seen a lot of the world, a lot of the country, a lot of people along the way. What's something that you wish you could give yourself past self advice? So you've learned so much along the way. There's been a lot of journeys here. It sounds like your career has taken many different turns and a lot of different geographic places here. What's some advice that would help past you benefit?
That's a great question. Advice that would benefit me now if I could go back and do something differently. I think for me, it was about family time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have journal entries from when my first daughter was born. She's 19 now. That was like, I have to get off the road. And the reality of it is that by being on the road, I was fulfilling my happiness and I was showing up better as a parent because I was doing it. So if you would ask me that question a year ago, I might have regrets. And I don't think there are regrets anymore. I'm like, oh no, I did a pretty darn good job. Like so I would go back and stop giving myself shit for the decision that I made to be a touring performer. Like it's been great.
Yep.
Like again, this is like whatever dad guilt or husband guilt or whatever.
Sure.
Like I don't need to have that because I've been a pretty darn good dad, right? And anyway, that's so. I would say lighten up on yourself.
I think I like that. I think one thing I've heard from other parents that kind of resonates with what you're saying, and I'll pause for this announcement for one quick second here. Beautiful. One advice I've heard from parents that was interesting is like, the touring thing isn't necessarily conducive to a traditional family, but it is so powerful to fill your own cup and do the thing that makes you happy and let your children see you taking chances and pursuing the thing. And I think that's an important part of this as well, is like, if touring wasn't on paper the perfect way to build a family, it's so important for them to see you as a role model, someone who is taking chances and willing to do the hard things and make the sacrifices to fill up your own cup. And I think you should be very proud of that in itself, of like, yeah, you did a hard thing and it sounds like you came out the other end well and raised them to be powerful, independent people and have been a role model in that process for her.
Yeah, but another thing I would say is like even our perception of what a normal family or a standard way of doing it or what our parents or grandparents did, like that way of doing it is relatively new in human history. So like it is only that way in our heads because that's what we've seen. But the depends on where you live, what culture you're part of, what your belief system is, and if we convince ourselves that the only way to do something is this one way, where you're together all the time, 9 to 5. Like it's not the only way. And I guess I'm the poster child for a guy who's been on the road, who was able to be a half decent dad and a good husband. And but it is hard. And if there are artists that are listening to this, it is important that you pursue the thing that fills your bucket. It might not make you money, so then you need a job. Get a freaking job, right? Like if you're waiting around for stuff to happen, do something while you're waiting. Right? Just go get like, and then at the end of the day, you've made a little bit of money, and I don't mean to like. Was I lucky? No, I worked my ass off at my craft, and but I also understood the value of networking. Right? There's anyway, this could be a totally different podcast.
Sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah. My last question for you here is something that makes you happy. So it's the happiness-driven podcast. The goal is about making other people happy. Oftentimes we forget to make ourselves happy. I'm curious about what makes you happy. So it could be something outside of this. It could be still drumming if you're doing that in your free time, or a part of camp that really fills your cup. Yeah, what makes you happy?
I love to start a task and finish it. I like to look at a pile of wood that needs to be stacked, and I like to stack it. I like to see a leg on a chair that needs fixing and to fix it. And so those, I have really little tiny trophies throughout the day, like crossing something off my list. Like I folded my laundry. Like that's joyous.
I can't relate more. I've gone through many stages of being like, I didn't do, like I'm self-employed or largely employed, so I work from home. And so I get to the end of the day and I didn't do anything today. And that's like I edited for 12 hours today. What do you mean I didn't do anything today? So I've gotten very good at making lists of everything I do. And even if like it's not on my list, I'll retroactively be like, folding laundry was on my list because I did it today. And it wasn't part of my plan, but and that's been such a helpful tool for me to get to the end of the day and go, this is a crazy piece of paper with a lot of things crossed out. This is a tangible way for me to go, nope, your brain is lying. You're being silly. You did do a lot today. You should be proud of that. You can earn the rest. You don't need to work till midnight because that's not a sustainable way to exist.
Well, the self-employment thing, the list will never end, but also the list will never end for most.
Of course, yeah.
Without a boss, without somebody saying you have to turn something in on Thursday at 5, and with all the creative ideas that you probably have as well, is like, oh, I got this idea. I want to explore it. I got this idea. I want to explore it. Most of my ideas, and this is somebody I've released 13 albums. I've won all kinds of really special awards that meant a lot to me, and I write a lot, but there's so much that I haven't done. So like, how do I weigh those against each other? Like, do I celebrate that I did release a song, or do I beat myself up over the head that I've got 10 unfinished? Right? So it's okay to have all those ideas. Just if you're listening, just finish something. Do something. Like, complete it.
Start something.
Sign the bottom of your piece of art and then put it aside and start the next thing. It's okay to be there.
There's some quote that's like, creativity is a muscle, and it's about just seeing the thing through. And every time we start an idea and don't finish it, that muscle atrophies. And by seeing it through, we can build the muscle. It doesn't matter the scale or the scope or the context of it. I've got shelves and shelves of ideas, and shelves is not literal shelves, but in my brain. But again, those little victories, I swear, like just being able to. I love the retroactive adding to your list. I think I'm going to start doing that. Beautiful. Well, thank you. I'm glad I could add some wisdom to your cup. You've certainly offered a lot to mine. So thank you for your time today. We did it. The Happiness Blueprint podcast is a success. We'll talk very soon, friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Happiness Blueprint. Powered by GBM6. It's about making people happy.